Hello, this is Wallace. I am Wallace, and I have a surprise for you because I have been surprised. I invited Miss Vicki Davis to come out and talk about her social commitment, and I found out that she is actually a singer. So right after this short break, we're going to bring you in and show you what an artist does when an artist loves their art and loves their community. We'll be right back.
Everyone has a ritual, that small thing to keep us focused.
A habit we never skip, to clear our minds and elevate our performance.
But what do you do to keep your head in the game? To drown out the self-doubt and support your mental health. Because being your best isn't just about taking care of your body.
It's about taking care of your mental health. Discover the resources that you need to keep your mind focused and your mental health a priority.
We're back, and thank you for the attention. I want to introduce you to Vicki Davis. Vicki, how are you?
Doing awesome today.
And you're doing awesome, apparently, even when it's not in the day. I was not aware that you were a performer. Well, we're going to get on you about the performing part, but a singer, a composer, a writer, a producer, and that you have put together some 3 albums?
Yes. My 3rd album will be coming out this month, May 31st.
May 31st. We're happy with Vicki, but we are a little upset with Vicki for not knowing all of this. Vicki sings love songs, romance songs, in a world that is about antagonism and hate. How does the world affect your music, and how has all of that affected your decision to be such a public servant?
You know what? It's funny because just a few minutes ago you were mentioning about doing things with love and how like love transcends from the work that I do to the music that I do, and like that means a lot to me. That's very touching to me because I have a real commitment to infuse love and lead with love in everything that I do. And so even sometimes when the world is stressful or hard or cold or unloving, I think that we can add things to the world that nurture the feelings that we want to feel. And so that is really what motivates me to do love songs, but also to do the community work that I'm doing.
So what's more beautiful, the flower that's growing in a wild, dirty alley, or the flower that's growing in the botanical gardens along with other flowers? That's the question. And to submit your art, to submit your caring into a situation where it's needed, it's kind of like planting a flower in an alley, where, you know, if it were not for that flower, it would all be dirty and without care. Tell us a little bit about some of the things that you do socially that are very, very important in this community. First of all, let me get you to give us a quick verbal resume. Okay.
So I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist.
A family therapist?
Yes, sir. I'm a clinical...
Licensed?
Yes, sir.
That means you went to school.
Yes.
That means you've got experience doing this. This isn't just, oh, I love you and I want to help you.
No.
It's, I'm committed enough with this love to educate myself so that I can truly help.
Right, absolutely. And it also means that the state of California recognizes that I'm qualified to deliver the sort of help that people are seeking when they are looking for mental health support for themselves or for their families.
That's a big mark. That's a big mark. Not only do I love you, I'm qualified to love you and do well for you. So what does that mean in terms of how it translates to what you really do?
I'm a clinical supervisor for Victor Community Support. So I supervise a clinical program that provides therapy for kids and families in San Bernardino Unified School District and surrounding areas. We do that through groups, presentations that bring awareness to the warnings, signs of serious mental illness, and also one-on-one therapy, family therapy, and something called rehab support, which is really a fancy way of saying developing life coping skills that can sustain the work that we do in the individual therapy
And
sessions.
this work is done via and through the school district.
Yes, sir.
So a parent that is blessed enough or lucky enough to have the school district discern that there is a need, they could end up in your program.
Absolutely, but they don't have to wait for the school district
That
to
was
refer
going to be
them.
my next
Yeah.
question. Is it possible for people who can tell from them, from their own observation, from what doctors have said, how can they be involved in receiving those services?
So they could self-refer. They could call 909-522-4656 and just let the receptionist know that they would like to be assessed for mental health services. And then at that point, they would be scheduled for an assessment and then a consultation to discuss what programs that we offer might be appropriate for them.
This generation, this lifetime, this period that we're in is much more sensitive to mental health issues and discussing them than they were 20, 30 years ago. When I was growing up, you were either crazy and that's the way
That was the option.
That was it. That was it. So now we've got standards that allow for us to understand that people are not all the same. We all have different speeds that we adjust with, and that we're not necessarily crazy simply because we're different. Otherwise, most of our great artists who perform and sing and put together great music like you would simply be called crazy, because how could you separate yourself from the world's ills enough to go celebrate and make music having
Plant
fun?
flowers in some
Plant flowers
crazy
in some
alleyway.
crazy alley. Right, very good, very good. So that's one aspect of what you do. Is that all? You work there and then you go do your music?
No, I also am CFO for an organization called Stronger Together Now, Inland Empire.
Chief Financial Officer?
Yes, sir.
So you count money as well?
Yes, like spreadsheets and money and emails and all of the fun stuff.
Okay.
And
the name of that organization again?
Stronger Together Now, Inland Empire.
And what does that organization do?
So we also work with San Bernardino Unified School District, and we provide academic services to students in one-on-one and group settings, and as well as youth empowerment programs, specifically in continuation schools in San Bernardino Unified, but open to other schools as well.
Very good. So that's all you do, those two things?
No, we can keep going.
Okay, let's see how big a pie we're going to make here.
Okay, I'm also on the board of directors for DEV Partnerships.
DEV Partnership.
Yes, we are a mental
I
health
wanted to make
organization.
that clear because it almost rhymes with DMV, which could make a lot
Now
of
you're
people...
confusing people.
Well, I don't want to confuse people, but DMV is, that's a state agency that some of us love to go hang out with and some of us don't. And I don't want your DEV to be confused,
Yes.
though I brought it up. Okay.
So I'm the board of directors there. I'm secretary of our board, and I've been serving in that position for many years. And we provide housing for mentally ill adult men in San Bernardino County.
So how long have you been involved in, you're not old enough to be involved in these things a long period of time, except possibly putting together your music. How long have you been involved in producing and writing and feeling the music that you are now letting the rest of the world know about?
So actually, I was in a girl group when I was about 12 years old.
Oh, okay.
So started there, took a break for a while, went to school to, have California certify me and get qualified to do all the other work that I'm getting to do. So I won't say how long that is. I'm just going to say since all the way back then when I was a child. But for the other items in the pie or the other slices. I've been working with Stronger Together now for about 3.5 years. And I've been on the board of directors for DEV Partnerships since 2007.
And these 17, or is it 27 songs you wrote and produced during the same time?
Around that amount.
Okay.
Not by myself. I do for sure have partners who support me. I work with The Grits. He's an awesome producer. I also do a lot of work out of David Beat Studio, which is in Riverside, and he is also really awesome support. And yeah, the three of us really have been able to do some awesome work together.
Now, with all of this music that you do and all of these other adventures, projects, programs that you have demonstrated this expertise in, I understand that you also put on events.
Yes, sir.
Have we had the opportunity with any of these events to hear you perform, or is there an opportunity coming soon that we may get a chance to hear you perform?
I won't confirm or deny that. However, I do have a couple of events that I think Rialto is pretty familiar with. I started Black the Block Entrepreneurs Expo about 6 years ago, and that is a platform that was created to develop space for Black-owned businesses and also community in the city of Rialto. And so at that event, we have a lot of local business owners. We do also have local performers come. We have a 3-on-3 basketball tournament that happens there. So that event happens in October. More expeditiously than that, you can find us at Juneteenth, which is coming up on June 19th, which is super, super cool and special because last year the city of Rialto declared Juneteenth as a city recognized holiday.
Oh, amazing.
Yes.
And Juneteenth activities will be here in Rialto on what date?
On June 19th at Ferguson Park from 4 to 9 p.m.
And what will those activities consist of? I understand you call it
So
a very
much.
interesting name.
Juneteenth Jam.
Very good. That's a great name.
Yes. So there's going to be so much going on. We're going to have a live band. We will have Divine Nine representation and participation. So if you've ever seen like the Stepper Stroll and stuff like that, we will also be having a flag football game at that event. We'll be having a skate park takeover, which will be led by a local skater who was recently contracted to do some professional work. So we have our Rialto superstar, we have a pro skater, and we'll also be hosting a women's open run and 3-point shooting contest.
Open run.
Yes.
What does that mean?
That means you show up and you play basketball with whoever, kind of like a pickup game at the park,
Okay,
you know?
very
So
good.
whoever's there, that's who's on your team, and you guys play together, and all the more of, you know, bringing the community together because you just met them, but now you're on a team together and you have a common goal.
Very
So we'll also have a car show there.
A car show?
Yes, sir. So we'll have a few different like classic cars and lowrider cars for viewing. Lots of just fun stuff. Food, of course, always.
I was going to ask about the food.
You always ask about the food.
Is this a bring your own food, or
No.
you know, there's going to be food there
No.
that you buy, or do we sing for our food? How does that
You sing for your food.
Okay, I'll sing for my
But
food.
let everybody else come and support the vendors because we have a lot of local food vendors who will be there. And every event, we were talking about that love aspect, you know, and so this is multifold, right? Because it's not just an event for celebration, you come, you have fun, but it's also an event for increased communication, for economic development, for, you know, health awareness initiatives, for, you know, safety initiatives, all of these things folded into one day. And that's the best way that I could think to love on the community. Because when I think of love, I think two things, you know, godly love and motherly love, right? Because those are the two that were very strong in my life. So when I think of those two types of love, they're like all encompassing, you know, like they perceive the needs of the person or the individual they intend to serve, and then they layer that love up in all different special ways to fit, you know, that person.
Anyone who brings up motherly love is certainly going to take advantage of the opportunity to brag about their children.
Absolutely.
Tell us about your girls.
So Alana is my oldest. She just turned 16 in April, and she is a junior at Cal State Los Angeles.
She just turned 16, and she's a junior, not at the local high school, where most 16-year-olds are. She's a junior at Cal State Los Angeles College.
Yes, sir. Yes, California State University of Los Angeles.
Are you trying to push her out of the house? Or what's this? 16? Why is she in college?
You know,
a junior in college.
She started college when she was 13 years old. We saw a program on a local station, and my mom and I were like, you know what? Let's see if she wants to try it. She was always so far advanced in school. She skipped a grade. Straight A's all the way through.
She graduated from high school at that point?
She had not even attended middle school at that. She was in her second year of middle school. She was in 7th grade. And so we presented it to her. She wanted to do it. She pursued it over the summer. And she got into the program. And actually, the year that she got in, the city of Rialto awarded her with some special honors. And also at the state level and the county level, she was awarded because she was admitted at such a young age into the chemistry program over there at in Los Angeles.
Well, as her mother, could you, here in front of our audience and God and everybody, commit to bring her into us one day so that we can interview your daughter?
I will work on her, but you know what? She's still a teenager. You have experience with teenagers, right?
I do.
Okay.
And it's a blessing. I appreciate it.
I'll get her in here so you
Very
can
good.
be able to talk to
now,
her.
that's your older daughter, the 16-year-old junior in college.
Yes.
Next thing I tell you, you're going to tell me you got an opera singer or somebody at home. But now tell me about
As a
your
matter of
younger-
fact, I do have an opera singer.
And how old is your opera singer?
She's 11 years old.
11 years old. We're going to take a very short break in order to allow Vicki to bring up her daughter singing on camera. We'll take that break and we'll come back with one of the most exciting things that you're going to get to see today. We'll be right back.
Sometimes in life, in order to move forward, it helps to look back.
To learn from the pioneers and trailblazers.
To gain inspiration from those who came before us.
To show us what it means to act with empathy and to show that love has no labels.
Join WWE and Love Has No Labels throughout the year in celebrating people from all communities and heritages.
Because when love has no labels,
That's a love we can all fight for.
amazing. She's just like you said it was. She is an opera singer. At 11 years old?
Yes.
She's close to 12, right?
She'll be 12 in October.
So she's not really even close to 12.
She feels like she is.
No, so Vicki, tell us the truth. Now we're not trying to see about child abuse or anything like that, but what do you do to make her do this? I mean, do you lock her in the closet? How do you make her do it?
You know what? It's funny that you said lock her in the closet, because this talent really presented itself during COVID when we were all locked away, right? And
Amazing.
she couldn't go to school, and she wanted to. I was looking for all of these programs online for her to be able to just try different things to still see kids and interact with other kids and other families. And so I put her in just a community music program that was free because of COVID. They were like so many of these kind of programs popping up. And she was doing some research because she was supposed to sing a song for that program. And she came across a video of Figaro.
That's the one that the Little Rascals would sing all the time.
Yes.
You don't remember? You don't.
I do remember the Little Rascals.
So we're catching up on her age-wise. We'll figure this out.
And so she saw that video, and at this time she was about 8 years old, and the video tickled her so deeply. Like, she just thought it was the funniest thing that she had ever seen, but also she loved how loud it was. And this is the truth, like this is the mind of an 8-year-old. She's like, it's funny sounding, it's loud, and I want to be a spectacle when I perform. So I'm going to pick this. Yes. And so she picked it. Not that particular song, but the teacher in the community program said, well, why don't you try one of these? That was for a female singer, and it was Caro mio ben, which is a famous Italian opera.
We're all familiar.
So she sang this song in Italian, and she has the craziest ear for languages. Both of my girls are bilingual. They speak Spanish and English. And so she just has a crazy ear for languages. She heard the song, she sang it, and then the word just started traveling. And someone called me and said, your daughter is singing opera? And I said, yeah. And they said, well, take her to the opera house. So we went to the opera house, and while we were there, she was singing along to, songs. And the women behind us were like, hey, we're actually, donors and sponsors of the opera house. We love it here. And we heard you humming along. Really? And we think that you should audition for a part.
That is amazing.
And so she auditioned over the summer. She got a part over the summer. Then she got another part. And now she's auditioning again for this summer.
And so she's been performing, setting a great example for now.
Yes.
Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
Oh, you have to be very proud of all of that.
I am ecstatic. My children are the biggest blessing that I could have ever received in this life, because the way that they take on the things that interest them, like just fearlessly and with like ambition and drive, like I'm always so impressed and encouraged, and they're great people,
Well, I would attribute that to them observing you, but you're so busy, I don't think they probably even get to see you, do they?
Well, you know what? When I was serving on the board of directors for the Black Chamber of Commerce, prior to the pandemic, they were on my hip. So we were, doing all the mixers, and I, as my background as a therapist, I would often get asked to do some sort of like wellness introduction to ease the crowd into like a more serious conversation and create camaraderie in the crowd before we started talking about, Black Chamber of Commerce business, like, what are you doing with your finances? Well, how do you advertise? How do you bank? And so I would do those presentations, like twice a month, and they would be right there. And, in the car on the way, I would pitch it to them and they would give me feedback, my most honest critics. And then from there, COVID, and we got to spend so much time nurturing each other and developing the things they were interested in, you know, one of them applying for college, one of them becoming an opera singer. Like, it was a crazy time. But Wallace, if I said that I was doing that by myself, it would be a complete disservice to my mom, to my sisters who have always supported me. This is my biggest brag amongst other moms, and that is I've never had to hire a babysitter.
Amazing. That is a blessing.
Yeah.
And living your life as an artist, and do you consider yourself living your life as an artist? Or do you feel that there's some level of hill that you need to climb to get into your music, and or is it an easy transition to go from your day of everything to humming and singing and making up a song?
It is not that hard of a transition because I have been fortunate enough to be able to be in spaces that allow me to be a creative person no matter what the primary like goal of that space is.
I think in some cases it probably pushes you into being a creative person in order to, first of all, set your schedule. And the next thing is, of course, to do the things that you have to do. I would imagine working with children who are involved or who have been labeled or classified as having mental issues certainly causes a lot of creativity just in your introduction, because your introduction to them is probably a little different from the information that you've been handed about the child.
Right.
Because in order for you to do the Vicky thing, you've got to do a Vicky analysis, right?
Absolutely. And you know what? My mom always tells me one story of the only time I ever got in trouble at school.
Oh. I never got in trouble at school.
Yeah, right.
So here we go. Okay.
And I was in kindergarten. And there was an assignment by the teacher.
That was the time I never got in trouble too.
No, okay, yeah. There was an assignment by the teacher to create this, you know, sort of like a book. But the way the teacher wanted us to do the book was like, in my mind, for babies. Like, why don't we just make it look like a real book? So I kind of took it my own way, cut it up, stapled it, did all this, did binding and everything on it. And the teacher was very upset. And my mom said, Vicky, this is a very nice thing that you did here, but the assignment was to do this.
Okay.
So
you
creativity, you know?
Yeah, you had to learn how to stand down to the crowd.
Yes.
Well, we often have to dumb down in order to get along, and it's part of realizing that, okay, there's a red light, there's no traffic coming, but I still have to stand here, and that's what we do, and that's part of being civilized is to acknowledge the signals the way that everyone else deals with them. Is that frustrating to you sometimes?
Again, I think fortunate for me, like in a lot of the spaces that I'm in, I get to make the final decision.
It just adds to your creative, yes.
I get to make the decision. Yes. So it's just a blessing, you know, that I get to utilize that part of myself so freely, you know, without restraint. And when I've been in spaces that were very restrictive, I have a tendency to find creative solutions within like the restrictions that result in the slow, you know, melting away of those restrictions.
Dissolving the problem.
Right.
Let me ask you the question of the day. You are in charge of the world.
Oh.
And there is one issue that you have the power to correct today. What is that issue?
I think it would be to increase mankind's ability to love and understand one another, because that would be a great place to start to solve a lot of the problems that exist. People feel separated or different or better than or less than or not enough or whatever you're feeling. And then it creates like a schema, right, for the way that you're thinking and the way that you're behaving. And typically it's not in alignment with love and compassion and empathy and safety and security for yourself and for all of those around you and who interact with you. So if we could start with, you know, normalizing a level of understanding and love for other people, for humanity, then we could have a nice foundation to build on.
I could not say it better, nor is there anything that I could say that I would prefer to use to end today's program. Vicki, thank you very much for sharing with us. People, thank you for deciding to spend your time with us today, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Maybe we'll have an opera singer with us at that point. God bless you. Thank you for being with us.